this is the first thing I thought when you started bringing this up. So you're like, I'm like curious how you're not burnt out because you're like, leading a school through your role. It's obviously, it's not like you're just kind of showing up and do whatever. I know you're phenomenal at your job. Then you're doing these workshops. So what are you doing that you're able to like, do a lot of work, explore some things that are maybe outside of your organization, still focus on education and not be burnt out? Because, a lot of people are like, well, this guy's working like all the time. How is he not burnt out? So what are you doing to like kind of, model that?
Yeah, so a lot of the work that I've done is now tied to like Greg McCown's book Essentialism. And one of the things that he talked about in there was this idea like just about the work you do, right? And so I
Right.
think a lot of times people do a lot of things, but it's not rewarding, it's not fulfilling. Like yesterday, even though I spent 3 hours in a Zoom session afterwards, I was pumped. Like I was
Yeah.
ready to go because like for me personally, that's something that fills me up. And so even though, right, when I'm at a conference, when I'm out speaking and
Right.
hosting these workshops, like for me, that fills me. So
Uh,
people always like, well, what do you do for fun? Like that is my
right.
fun.
Right.
So I think that's a difference between when people are getting themselves burnt out. So oftentimes they're spending time and energy and effort on things that don't matter, that have nothing to do with what it is that they're trying to accomplish in life, right? That it's not
Right.
sustainable. And so then they're finding themselves burnt out. And I've said before, like whenever this work begins to feel like work, I have that luxury of saying I'm going to stop.
Yeah.
If I don't want to do a podcast anymore, I don't have to do it, right? If I don't want to speak anymore, I don't have to do it. I'm in a space where I'm doing this because I choose to do it. And so I'm very much aware that whenever it feels like a chore, then I get to pause, right? And I've been in those spaces. This past summer, I didn't record anything. Right. Like I was
Right.
like, I told my wife and I, we have 5 daughters. I mentioned to you like my baby's 21, right? Like, but it's like, hey, we're dedicating time to
Right.
family and that it was a huge jump for me,
Yeah.
but I didn't feel guilty because I was feeling kind of that burnout. So when I came back in September, I was refreshed and ready to go. So I think you just got to be aware of who you are and how you're showing up and asking if the work you're doing, is it aligned? Is it filling you up?
I was just on your podcast, man. Are you saying like after me it was like I can't do this anymore?
Not at all, not at all. You were one of
I
those things,
feel,
right?
I'm like, I'm gonna see what is your last episode? Where am I in that fray? And then you're like, I'm out on this podcasting stuff.
Man, what was I thinking bringing him on?
Yeah, yeah, I totally agree with you. There's parts of my life like people might know this about me. I used to teach spin class while I was a principal. I used to ref basketball, and there's times where I just loved it. It energized me, and then it slowly got to a point where I'm like, I'm not like really excited about going. Like I don't want to do this, and that I think when you explore some of those things, you're like, yeah, this is not for me. And I'm the same way with a lot of endeavors in my life. I'll like hopefully I quit some of them too early rather than, oh my God, this guy stuck around way too long.